Yep.
Welcome to Breaking the Silence, episode 2. You're here with Liam Watson and Jason Grigg. Today, we're going to be giving you some juicy topics on the 80-20 rule. Jason, what do you reckon?
Yes. So 80-20 rule when it comes to trading, I guess life and business and everyday day-to-day things that we go through, right? But if you start off with trading, the reality of it is, being in the trading space for 8 years now and seeing the cycles of emotion that comes with trading and seeing the people that get involved with trading and how quickly they quit it tends to be because of their psychology. Now, when we talk about strategies and trading and then comparing about, who has the best strategy, the reality is a strategy is designed around a specific trader and that particular strategy works for them, right? It's not to say that it can't work for you, but it's designed around that particular trader because they've built their skill, they've built their mindset, and they've built their strategy based off their own psychology because that strategy works for them because they've done it, they've tried it, they've tested it, but their mindset is what allows them to let the trades play out. The hardest thing for a trader is you enter into a trade, and the moment you press the buy or the sell button, anxiety kicks in, nerves kick in, like you're
Yep.
worried about the loss, your fear of the loss. What if I'm right? What if I'm wrong? How do I manage this trade, right? Even though you may have done the pre-frame work before you entered into the market, automatically you have this emotion that kicks in. It's that connection between winning and losing and the money that you're about to lose or the money you're about to make. So that emotion that's the 80-20 rule. That's the 80% psychology and 20% technical, because the reality of trading is the technical analysis you can learn anywhere in the world. It doesn't matter if you learn it from myself, from Liam, from YouTube, from master traders. 99% of it is the same. The difference between the traders that make money and using the exact same methods and strategies is 80% psychology. You got your psychology right, you get your money right. It's going to be so much easier. I think that was my turning point was and probably the reason why when I first got into trading and got lured in because I got a taste of winning very, very quickly, right? So I didn't have the training, I didn't have the mindset, I didn't even understand that. I was essentially gambling, but I had that euphoria, I had that excitement. Yeah, man, I just pressed the button, I made money. And the reality is I also lost money so quickly as well because I didn't understand what I was doing. But I realized that if I could, you know, develop the skill, is it really the skill set that made me better as a trader? No, it is the mindset. It is believing in my analysis. It's letting the trade play out. It's not touching it after you've made a decision and following a set select rules to enter into the market. And whatever happens. You're okay with the outcome because you followed a set of rules, and now your mindset's good because you're not just on hopium, hoping that it goes to the moon or hoping that you short it to the floor, right? It's definitely one of the things that have really helped me is change my focus from the technicals, because it's not hard to watch a couple of videos here and there, to then focusing daily on how do I build a better psychology? How do I trust myself? How do I believe in my abilities? How do I, grow as a person? Because all that kind of reflects in my trading. So yeah, from a trading aspect, the 80-20 rule has helped me make a significant amount of money just by um, yeah, trusting in myself, trusting in my ability, my belief system changing. But it also gets damped. It also changes as well when you have those big losses, right? I remember, I think it was 2018, 2019, whatever it was, and I lost $100,000 in a trade. I mean, to lose $100,000 in a trade it's great, right? You have the ability to do that, but it's not great when it's actually happening to you. So that's where your mindset is tested, and that's where your psychology is tested as a trader and as a person, right? You start questioning your ability. But if we talk about that specifically with trading, what are we really doing? Well, if I followed a plan and I stuck to the plan and I was prepared to lose X amount, well, then I'd be okay with losing X amount. But the fact that I let my emotions get involved and my psychology was twisted, and I, just thought I couldn't be wrong. You get overconfident, couldn't be wrong, and eventually the market's going to swing. And at some point, you got to make a call. Otherwise, you lose your whole account. And at that time, it wasn't my whole account. It was just a portion of it, but it was still a deep enough amount to make an impact. So yeah, man, like technicals versus psychology. And even in everything I teach today, I start before you even learn anything technical, I talk about psychology first because you get your mind right, you get your money right.
So important. Jason, I really wish we'd called this episode the 99/1
The 19
because I remember when back in the day, honestly, when I first started trading, it took me so long to get comfortable. Like I'm the most comfortable I've ever been with trading now. And it really did. I think it's when I realized that psychology was everything and like just like there's so much to like pull apart what you just said there. Like,
Yeah.
trading with actual money versus paper trading. Like this is something I talk about all the time. You can't you can't advise somebody to just paper trade, and then once you've got everything, then like you're set. You've just made $100,000 on a paper trading. It's like you should be able to make $100,000 with real money now. That's just not the
It is.
reality. That's not true. And that we're all about breaking the silence. And what Jason was saying was so true. Like you can learn technical analysis anywhere. You can go onto YouTube. You can go to uh, no word of a lie. You could go down a random street and find one of those like book swap places, and the chances are you might find like an actual really good technical analysis book, right? But at the end of the day, the psychology, for me at least, and Jason as well, like it's everything. It's everything, man. Like I could tell you hundreds and hundreds of trades where as soon as you put real money on the line and you go 10% into the negative on a leverage trade, it's a horrible feeling because not only have you worked hard for that money, you're trying to retire and you're trying to break the financial situation that you're in. You might be trying to get FI or financial independence, and you're actually taking a back step. That's what it feels like, right? And you're going, you know what, I'll just exit it and I'm never going to come back to trading again. And that's where the truth is, that's where most people fail. I mean,
But the
Jason, these
reality
days,
is you got to think if you lose 50% of your account, you actually got to make 100% to get back to square one. Like
yeah,
that's the
yeah.
crazy thing about it. And people don't understand the importance of, risk management and money management and how important that plays or takes a toll on your psychology, right? Like the biggest thing with traders and the longer that you've been trading is traders don't want to be wrong, right? And it's not,
Yeah.
the reality, traders don't want to be wrong. They don't want to admit when they're wrong. They don't want to take a loss. It is probably one of the worst trades that I've noticed, even like in myself when in early days of trading, to them watching thousands of students over the years really come through and go, hey, I, made X amount, but how much did you lose? Or how long did you hold on to that trade for that swing to go all the way down and just happen that you weren't on leverage that you didn't get, taken out, or was it that you're holding this coin for a certain period? And while that pays off and has paid off for anyone that's held Bitcoin over the years and had diamond hands, by all means, cool, praise you being able to do that. But as a day traders don't want to be wrong. And the reality is you have to be okay with losing. You have to build your psychology around it's okay to lose, but you got to be able to lose the right way, right? A lot of
Mm.
people are prepared to lose money because, like you said, you work so hard for it. You're aiming for better. You're aiming for financial independence. But the reality is that you got to lose when you come into the financial markets. It is not a win-win-win-win-win. So all these trading gurus out there that are saying, yeah, 100% win strategy, I never lose money, blah, 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 and all this kind of rubbish. I'm like, mate, well, then I don't believe anything that you say because any good trader that has good risk management, that has good money management, is still a profitable trader at 60% win rate, at 70% win rate, because they understand the importance of not having to be right every single time and being okay with accepting a loss, right? I know many traders that, have a 55, 60% win rate and are still making bank, right? It's just you don't need to win 100% of the time in order to be profitable. You just got to be good with your money And in order to be good with your money, you got to be good with your mindset, right? Your head's got to be screwed on right. And that's the thing that you got to keep working on, is just that psychology around trading. It's controlling your emotions. And the more you can control your emotions, the easier it's going to be for you to get better at trading. Because like we see, you can go to any chart now, regardless of the coin, regardless of the pair, the asset, whatever it is, could be stock, could be Forex, could be crypto, and you can use technical analysis and you're going to see patterns repeat themselves over and over and over and over again. The difference is even though you see those patterns, and hindsight's a beautiful thing, when you actually go to enter the trade, you go, I just saw it. I know what's happened last time price has been here, but like you feel these crazy
Yeah.
emotions, kind of just go wild. So
It's a
yeah,
really cool meme that you see getting around, and it's like he's bought into the market, dump it, and it goes
yeah,
down. He's like, okay, sold, pump it, and it goes up. And the funny thing
yeah,
is, it's like everyone thinks they're the hero of the story, right? Like when you're in that trading, that's what it feels like. When your psychology is not set, that's what it feels like. But once you start making those wins, you really feel like you're swimming against the ocean. Like you feel like you're like everybody else in your circle, but the market sentiment will be like sell, and you're like, I want to sell, and you go, but my trading strategy says I should buy. So
yeah.
when you have that the discipline and you buy and you hold, you go, this is wrong, this is wrong. You wake up next day and you're in profit, and you go, wow, like, and that's I think you have to have a pretty good run going against what you're feeling and sticking to a proper trading strategy with the good side, with proper trading psychology, and get those wins for it to cement and finally make sense. To get
Yeah,
comfortable.
and it is about that repetition. It's about doing it over and over and over again until you get
Yeah,
comfortable with it. But what,
muscle.
what I found is that, people that are simply in trading, chasing money, are simply not the ones that are going to last here. They come,
Oh,
they try and get fast cash, they get burnt, then they leave because they've come at it the wrong way. Like trading, yes, I always say to my students is that trading is a get rich possible deal, not a get rich quick deal. It's
get rich
definitely
slow.
possible to
Yeah,
get rich with trading, but it's not a get rich quick deal, because while you might get lucky on some coins or some assets or some stocks, man, you're gonna get burnt a hell of a lot more, thinking that it's all gonna be, la-di-da days and you're gonna be on top of the moon. It just
yeah.
doesn't happen that way.
So we trade differently as well. So when what Jason said on the opening statement, he was like, uh, people find their own way of trading. Yeah. And I would argue, well, my way of trading is very different to yours. Like I found comfort in trading long, like the whole 4-year Bitcoin cycle. I found my trading strategy, which when I teach that now, I laugh when I give the course because I'm like, you guys are gonna kick yourself when you see this. Like it is so simple. And
Mm.
everyone's like, why is it so simple? It's like because it's patterns, right? It's TA, it's patterns. You're looking for confirmations of the continuation of the cycle, etc. There's indicators for the bottom, there's indicators for the top. It's a lot easier to get in at the bottom than it is. Anyway, that is literally 10 or slash 20, right? 20% of what's required. And then I start getting into the details about when you're in a bear market and everyone is in your ear and there's all this noise about Bitcoin going to crap, that is where the psychology really needs to come in because everything else is noise. And then when we start running up, and this is the funny thing, is when you look at a chart of 4 year, like over 4 years, it looks so small. You're like, that's easy. It's like, no, the reality is when you are balls deep, can I say that? When you're balls deep in a 4 year cycle and you're at the bottom, everything is screaming sell. Everything is like it's going to go one leg down, and you get the FOMO that you're going to get Bitcoin even cheaper when everything else lines up to the point where it's like, all right, this is where I should be, right? I did that this cycle, and I'm looking back now, going, wow, like why did I do that? And it's because I articulated why I should do that. I had journals that I could read back, and I could almost create the feeling that I had at the top of the previous cycle by reading my journal, right? Like you talk about journaling all the time. And I completely agree with you. Journaling is one of the most powerful tools, I think, for psychology. And then going up to the top, like you're at that euphoric stage and you get the fear of missing out because my account just doubled in like a week or 2 weeks or a month. So I'd say your account doubles in a month. You've gone from 250K, this is spot, right? Your Bitcoin account, all of you is doubled, and you go, oh, if I just get one more double, I'm set, and then that's where shit hits the fan. So
It's a
having
good,
that psychological experience, you know,
yeah, it's definitely you say we trade differently. You trade how I invest. It's we
yeah,
have like I traded, they traded, but I invest how you trade, right? Like it's
yeah,
understanding market cycles and understanding, those swings and the psychology of it. We talked about a little bit in the last episode. It was really about when people are when the market is at the bottom, when we go from, like, let's call it back when it was $20,000 and we go to $4,000 and like really scrape the barrel, and then we hit into the $3,000. At that point in time, the feeling, the emotion, that everything that people are calling right then and there are saying it's going to zero, it's going to
mm,
1,000, it's going back to 500, it's Bitcoin is done, blah blah blah, etc. Right? But some of the best investors in the world is like when people are so scared, when people are so worried about everything, and you are confident in the project, right? Because Bitcoin's a project that's it's not going anywhere. When you're confident in the project, regardless if it's Bitcoin or something else, it's having a clear understanding of what the possibilities are when everybody's scared. Why are they scared? Why are they worried? How far is it gonna, like, people start computing like, oh, it's at 4,000 now, how long is it going to take to get back to 20,000, right? And then we went to 70,000 and came back down to 25,000, like, oh, that's it's going to take so long to get back to that level, let's just call it quits. And 25, it's going to zero again. Like, everyone calling the bottom at the bottom that is going to keep going, and everyone at the top over the moon is going to $1 million. And I was
mm,
saying this on the call last night, is that when Bitcoin was at $20,000 and people were in this euphoric stage and they're like, man, Bitcoin's going to 100 grand. And even during that time, I was telling people, I was like, it's not that it's impossible that it could go to 100 grand, but it needs to come back down first at some point, whether it was
yeah.
20, 25, 30, 40, whatever it is. At some point, the market has to correct. It just doesn't keep giving forever. Like,
Mm.
people want to take profit, institutions want to take profit, they want to make you feel like it's done and it's dusted, and all these big players are saying it's no good anymore.
It's a
And
war zone, hey. Like I always, when I talk about psychology, I always talk about how the best way to compare trading is if you're not 100% passionate, not 100% in, because what you're going against, like let's think of it as athletes, right? If you are essentially going against athletes that in the world, there might, let's say there's 100,000 traders. It's like we know that 90% of those are going to be successful, right? And it's like the people, athletes, they are the top tier level of traders that have the edge over everybody else, and that edge is psychology.
yeah,
It really is. Like they might have,
yeah.
that's the truth. You're going against athletes, people who are at the top of their game. That's how I always like to compare it. But me, yeah, Jason, we were talking about like the 80-20 rule doesn't just, it's not just trading. Like, breaking the silence on trading, right? Get it into your head. 80% of it is psychology. And that's where you're going to get your value from people like Jason. Is that the fact that Jason is probably one of the most masterful people when it comes to psychology. I got trained by Jason, and I've become more and more comfortable over the last years. But we're students of life, and we're
I'm
getting
even
better and
myself,
better.
like, even when I talk psychology and teach psychology, I'm still constantly learning about how people are, right? Because
Mm,
the easier you can connect with people, the easier it is to, work on where the gaps are and what they're actually struggling with. Because, you may think that it's the trading that they're struggling with. You may think that it's the technical side that they're struggling with, but the psychology part of it is they work 40 hours a week, they got no rest, they got nothing else that happens, and
yeah,
that is taking a toll on how they're making decisions when they're entering the market. And it's kind of like when you go through the process of learning, it's just like, if you're going to take trading seriously and you want it to be more than just a hobby where you throw a couple of dollars here and there, then it's really about planning, because the planning helps with your psychology. The planning allows you to have those conversations with your partner and say, hey, for 2 hours of the night, I just need to be, concentrating. I need to work on this. I believe it's going to do good in our future. And that helps with your planning. That helps with your psychology, because you're creating a plan that's going to make it easier, more relaxing for you to enter into the market. But people think that, oh, I just open up my phone and press a buy or a sell button and I can make money. Yes, while that may be the case, it's all the pre-framing. That's that 80%. That's a lot more that goes into just jumping on the charts and drawing a few lines and then making a decision to get into market. It's all the pre-framing that kind of happens with it, that people don't like to think about or talk about or discuss, because that's not money making topics. Like, people don't like talking psychology when it comes to trading, because that's not money making topics, but it's the most money making topic when
100%.
it comes to actually trading. Because, man, like, you put money on the line, you want to test your psychology, go to a casino, start with $10, throw it on the table. That doesn't affect you, throw 50. If that doesn't affect you, throw 100. If that doesn't affect you, throw 1,000. And if at 1,000 you pull back or get nervous or get anxiety or whatever, well, that's then your threshold, right? That's your threshold of your connection towards winning and losing money. Like, at $1,000, you've got this emotional connection to how you feel if that $1,000 was to go the opposite direction and go bad. So then you can already work on it. Like, you can work. I'm not telling the listeners to go and gamble, but I'm saying that the reality is, in trading and connecting that is, yeah, like, you have a threshold that once you discover what that is, you can either stay below it and stay comfortable until you get consistent. And then once you're consistent, add another zero. But yeah, like, just relating trading to life, and we talk about health, and we talk about wealth creation, we talk about all those things, and just going into health, right? We have these fads that happen, right? We talk about fad diets, we talk about fad strategies, we talk about fad Ponzi schemes and all these kind of things that just
Mm.
pop up. And when we relate it to the 80/20 rule, and we talk about health, like, even even psychology when it comes to health plays a huge role. And people think, no, you just have to go to the gym, you just have to work out 5 days a week, and you're going to get fit and healthy and all that. But even by doing that, it takes your mindset to wake you up in the morning, to actually get you out of bed, and then take your butt to the gym, right? Or it's you're going to work, and then the only time you get to go to the gym is after work. It's actually going, okay, you just did 8 hours at work. Are you going to go to the gym now, or are you too tired? So again, we're back into the role of the 80/20 rule, where psychology is either going to determine whether you're going to be fit or you're not going to be fit, right? It's just, yeah, it's amazing how
I really
psychology,
want to add to that.
yeah,
I
man.
love, like, when like trading with bad psychology is like training with a bad diet.
Well, 100%, man. Like,
You know?
it is definitely that. It is definitely
Mm.
that.
You are right though. I remember back in the day, I was 128 kilos, well documented on my Facebook, and we got chatting, and you were saying, like, I can't remember what words you used, but it was you really need to have like an edge on trading, right? So, and it came back to, have you heard of, is it Maslow's hierarchy of needs? Um, I'll grab it up, but basically, I wasn't peak eating. Like, my diet was bad, right? And I didn't have energy, and I was going to work, and had this expectation of myself of being a profitable and successful trader. My mindset wasn't good. My diet wasn't good. My relationship wasn't good at the time, and it came back to this. I'll share this if you don't mind. We'll just show you very quickly. So this pyramid of self actualization, and it really comes back to, you have to meet your basic needs and your relationship, your safety, and then what happens is, when you have all these things in line, you get your self actualization. That's your peak performance, right? So I think what Jason was saying there is that your diet needs to be on point, your exercise needs to be on point, everything needs to be on point. for you to perform as essentially to get that 80%, right? Let's say that that 80% is 100% of your psychological needs, right? If you're not, if you're having a bad time with your relationship, having a bad time at work, you're having a bad time with food, health, you ain't at your psychological peak,
Yeah.
and that's just the truth of it, right? Have you seen this before, Jason?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
have. We've thought on that in the past at events as well.
yeah, wicked.
Um, and definitely like it all comes down to like, peak performance and getting to the level that you want to, but it stems from everything. It's not just one thing. Like the psychology of well-being is multiple things that then create that 80% rule in the 80/20 rule to really
Yeah,
help you elevate to that where you're trying to be or where you want to be. And and then it comes down to priorities as well, right? Like it's what do we prioritize? Is it our health? Is it our well-being? Is it our family? Is it our, when people talk about balance and creating wealth and, all these different things that they want, it's like there's never really a balance. It just becomes what is more a priority to you. Like if you value family and you want to be with them every minute of the day, cool, then your health is maybe jeopardized a little bit because you may not be making time to go to the gym. Do you want to make $1 million and you might spend 12 hours a day on the computer, right? Because again, you're away from your family. So it's like where is that median? Like there is no exact perfect way on, how we get to where we want to be. And a lot of it still really stems back to the emotion. It's the thoughts, it's our feelings, it's what is it that's our priority. If you want family, cool, you do everything that you can to be on family. If you want to be rich, you do everything that you can to try and be rich. If you want to be a good trader, when I first got started, I spent 12 hours a day in a room, and I did that for 6 months until I got to a point of actually making money, right? So it's balancing that priority, but then the psychological toll that it comes back to you. It's that 80/20 rule. The doing part is 20% in your head
Yeah,
of what you want and confirming that and really going after it, that comes down to you, right? So we are really controlled by, what we say, what we do, what we think, what we feel, right? All these emotions that go through our mind. That really pushes us in that direction. What are we aiming for? And it kind of, if we don't have structure, we don't have a plan, we don't really have a goal of where we're trying to get to. And when you talk to someone, it's like, what is your goal? Like, what is your outcome? What is it that you really truly want to achieve? And if you don't know it straight away, then you really need to take a moment to think about it. You really need to take a moment. It's like, well, what are you here in this life for? What is it that you're really going after? Is it, you need a house, you need a car. Cool. What happens when you get the house and the car? Then what? What are you then striving for then? Is it more time? Is it more freedom? Is it being able to travel the world? Like it's, I find that when I talk to people that are, that have created crazy amounts of wealth, and I was like, well, what got you here? Like, what was your driving force? And he was like, well, I had a vision, I had a goal, and I knew what I wanted to do. And I realized that if I focus on that and I do only that, then eventually, whether through ups or downs or what, I know that that's my number one outcome. And then I asked and say, well, what was the sacrifice along the way? Well, that's where there is no balance because you want to get rich, you're sacrificing something else. You want a perfect family,
mm,
then you're sacrificing wealth. If there's never really a balance when it comes to life. There is, there's things that we do, there's things that we try, there's trial and error, there's, directions that we take. There is no guarantee in anything, right? And I learned that lesson many times over the last 8 years being a trader and being in business with people is while you might have the best intentions as a person, other people may not. People care about them and what's important to them. Even if you care about people and that's your personality and you want everybody to do well. But the reality is, at the end of the day, people care about what they care about, right? And what's a priority to them. And you may not be a priority to them, even if you're in business together, even if you're working together,
yeah,
and it sucks. And I was telling this to Ali today. I was just like, it's so shit that you can, you know, go through a series or a part of your life with someone close to someone, and then the moment that you're no longer doing that same thing, you disconnect and there is no longer a connection. And being in a normal job, and back in the day when we were in Telstra and we had, we connected and we became good friends. And even without Telstra, I'm glad that we continued on and we still have this friendship. It's something that, man, like I remember working with some of the guys for like 3 years, hanging out every single weekend, catching up, working 5 days a week, and then catching up on the weekend. Like that was what I thought was, true friendship. Like I was like, man, we're close, we're boys, we're girls, whatever it is, we're connecting. The moment that you're not there in the same space, you become irrelevant. And it was so,
Yeah, it's
talking about
interesting.
psychology, it's disgusting, man, but talking about psychology, talking about the 80-20 rule is like a friendship rule as well. You retain the
Yeah,
20% based on the 80% of connection that you have with people, right? You think that you're going to have that connection, you think it's always going to be there, but you really only retain 20% of people that you connect with. Like it's just, yeah.
friendships work both ways, don't they? I've got some really good friends who it it's almost like I don't know what word to use, but the least expected people that I thought that I would end up really close with, and they were like the toughest nuts to crack, if that makes sense. Like they were like an Alcatraz to get in friends with them, right? Like I've got this like one of my closest friends, Brendan. He's just like if you meet him, he's like one of the hardest people to crack, but one of the most genuine, nice people you'll ever meet. And I use him as an example because we've been friends. I met him through Telstra, same as yourself, Jason. I mean, me and you hit it off straight away, and we just sort of stayed in touch, right? And I think we've got a very similar sense of humor as well. Whereas Brendan was this guy who I was like, I don't think I can be his friend. Like he's pain in the ass, right? But then I don't know what it was. We like hit it off over drones or something back in the day. Like we're building stuff with tech, and he just like once I cracked him, we've just been really good mates forever. And those are the friends, right? Like you said, 80-20, right? There's 80% of the people are like popularity, having beers, whatever. And I think part of it is as well is that you sort of outgrow certain circles. Like I remember, the circles that I was in when I was younger. I mean, even just a few years ago that I wouldn't even sort of dream about anymore. Like, everything's family now, everything's about the future and reliability and good people and
The
so
fastest way that I realized that 80-20 rule applied to me and the friends that I had around me was the moment that I invested in Bitcoin and started talking about it. I
yeah,
lost 80% of the friends
yeah,
that I thought I was close to, because
yeah.
I got involved in Bitcoin, because I started telling them about this internet money, and
It's like the flush.
people thought I was trying to scam them with this internet money. I was like,
Yeah,
mate, you don't have to give it to me, just get some. It's like 500,
yeah.
get some.
Best
Like
advice.
I had an old video, I think it was on Facebook somewhere. I have to dig it up again, but of when I was like a realization, like a click in my mind of someone told me about Bitcoin in the early days, even prior, like when I was in the dollars, and I just didn't even think anything of it. And then I saw it randomly on the internet sometime about, Bitcoin. I was like, what is this digital money thing? I was like, nah, that must be a scam. They're trying to
Hmm.
do that. And then I got to did I freeze?
Technical
Am I
issues there.
there? Can you hear me?
I could hear you, mate. Yeah, yeah.
Hello, hello. Yeah, cool. Yeah, and then it got to a point of realization of that, there must be something in this Bitcoin thing, that it could be something. And then when I did the deeper research, I actually remember specifically in 2016, I was looking on CoinDesk, and CoinDesk back in the day was where you got all your fundamental news, like all the information about what was happening in the crypto space and who was investors. And there was this one area, there was an area of investors who got invested into Bitcoin. And then I looked at the names, and it was all the biggest names in the world. It was Richard Branson. It was all these, Bill Gates. It was all the multi billionaires back in 2017 when it was worth nothing. I'm like, why are these people buying into this digital money? Like, why are they putting hundreds of millions in it back then? Like, back when it was worth nothing. Like, why
Mm,
is there not more talk about it? And they were just quietly investing. Like they weren't spruiking it or anything, but I was like, hey, these guys are on board and then I'm going to get on board. I'm going to tell everyone about it. And by telling everyone, I really saw who my real friends were, because the amount of people called me out as a scammer or trying to say that I was trying to take their money or invest with me and stuff, was I wasn't telling anyone to invest with me. I was simply saying that go do your own research and look at what this Bitcoin thing is, and you might get lucky. It might be something, it might not. But the worst thing it did was cost you $500 to roll the dice. I'm sure you've rolled the dice on other things worse than that. And even talking to my mom and my dad and my sister, like my sister got in early, man. Like she got in when we got in. She's like, I got 12 grand, I'll buy some. And back then, she got some, and I eventually worked out how to tell mum about it. And then mum bought some, and then that was at $500. And then it took until price got to $3,000 that dad's like, okay, I'll get some. And
Here
then
I am at 100,000, baby.
and it kind of just went through the, the psychology of emotions towards money, right? Because they then talking about the 80/20 rule, their emotional connection towards money and letting it go because their son was trying to tell them about some online digital money that they had no idea about, but they figured if I was doing it, then it must be okay, right? Like, but that was a really an eye opener between, the people that you're close to the people that disappear once you're on your way. And you're like,
Yeah.
you talk about it, right? You talk about you outgrow people, and it's not like you're trying to say that you're better than anyone, but you just want to do more and people want to sit still. Like I think that was the
Yeah.
in between when I started getting into crypto and then started getting into other things, and people were just like, no, we don't have time for Jason anymore. We don't want to hang out with him anymore because he's doing odd things that aren't just hanging out on the weekends and drinking and, doing those kind of things. It was, yeah. So friendships, that takes a toll on your psychology for sure. You
There was
retain
this
20, you lose the 80. But that's growing, right?
Yeah, I saw this thing recently. Well, it wasn't even recently, actually. It was a little while ago, where it was about your friends. Everyone's rooting for you until the perception is that you're doing better than them. And it's so fucking true. Like, I remember, like, because obviously I've been on a bit of a journey over the last, like, few years. I never thought that I'd get to the position where I am now. And again, attributing it to the 80% psychology, right? Like the technical analysis really hasn't changed much for me. There's been a couple of little tweaks and stuff, but it really is the mindset that just changed everything and allowed me to really like relax in what I'm doing now. But it's so funny. Like there was so many things that surfaced, so many like snarky comments and stuff that I would get from people, and I'd be like, oh, okay, I see now. Like it'd be comments. I can't even specifically. I just remember the feelings that I went through, and I was like, right, okay, so there's comments, and I could only attribute it to the fact that I've always been very open with my friends. I've always just been like, yeah, look, this is what I'm doing. This is how much tax I had to pay. Like, what a pain in the ass. Like, da 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 da. Like, we're almost at the point where our second house is paid off, etc. And everyone's like, what the hell? Like, how? And I thought you'd be like, well, it's Bitcoin, man. Like, and crypto and trading, like the doing trading cycles, and like, and don't forget, like a lot of the people that I used to be work with are very much like the conversations were footy, banging chicks, and going to the rifle range. Like that was the conversation. It was just like I didn't fit in, right? And I wanted to talk about investing and like how do we make money on the side? How do I make money hustling outside of work? So going to work, going home to work, and then working after work, right? Right? So that I could invest in the cycles. No one was interested in that, and I still see the same pattern even now. So I guess relating that back to friends, like a lot of my friends now are, I've got a very diverse group of friends, but the one thing that they all have in common is they're all good blokes, they're all good people, honest. They're all I like to use the word integrity. Now, I'm gonna put the nail in the coffin because a lot of people don't know what integrity means, right? And I'm gonna tell you exactly what it means and add it to the dictionary if you want. Integrity means doing the right thing, right? No matter who would find out, right? So if you had the option to do the wrong thing, no one would find out. You would still do the right thing. Then that means you have integrity.
Yeah.
That's what
And
integrity means. But
bro,
yeah,
man, the amount of stories I can release about integrity is just mind blowing.
I
And
can imagine.
the people that I've been around that have shown me their true side based on,
Oh,
how
who? Tell us.
how they are as people. Like it's so yeah, like it's so eye-opening, should I say? It's eye-opening to see that someone that you think someone that you think would, always do the right thing, would rather lie in the face of people to, show
Yeah.
or not be the person that, is actually doing the wrong thing. It's just it's the cover up. It's man, there's
They always get caught though.
yeah,
Yeah,
and that's the
they
reality of
always
it.
get caught.
You,
So
you may not be uncovered at the beginning, but people see true colors, right? People see through the bullshit
I
eventually,
don't
right?
know, man. I think a lot of
They
people
do. Like
fail to see bullshit, to be honest.
but I think they're entertained by it as well, right?
Mm.
You're entertained by the rubbish that you see. But eventually, when you look deep enough and you do enough of your own research, you can see beyond the actual talk that's on the front end of it. Because, a lot of what's on social media is marketing. It is
Yeah,
just you open up social media and it's someone trying to sell you something or someone's trying to offer you something. And in my own way, through a real person way, through a real trader way, I myself do offer something that I sell. But me as a person hasn't changed in order for you to buy into what I'm doing. Like I don't need to change as
yeah.
a person. I don't need to sell you on anything. The results will sell itself, and me as a person will sell itself, but I don't have to pretend, right? We talk about integrity. It's like I don't have to lead you on in order to make you think that what I'm doing is real. It's just that is real. It's what's happening, right? Um, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we have we've had this conversation, haven't we, about the I think we covered it last session, actually, last in the first podcast. If you haven't watched that, by the way, go and watch it. We talked about the tactics that are used to lure people in. And I think it's like when we talk about authenticity and it does shine through. I think like for me, I often when I deliver courses, like I do a little bit of swearing, Jason. I apologize. I've been quite good on the podcast so far. As we get more confident, I'll probably start loosening up a little bit more and start firing some F words around. But we'll try and keep it PG. But yeah, some of the tactics that they use is a lot of it is BS, right? Like we've covered this. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean the 80-20 rule, guys. Like we've covered this tonight, and I think the key takeaway is that if you are looking at getting in technical analysis, right, really think about the psychology. Really think about that. Are you willing to do you understand that that 20% and really think about this, 20% is your TA, right? And then fundamentals can come and mess this up, and that's why we have risk management. But 80% of it is psychology. So what you're actually really subscribing to, like let's say you go to Jason's course and you want to learn TA, right? I'm going to be straight honest here. What you're actually the majority of the value is going to come from Jason's psychology, right? Because like we said this before, you can get TA from anywhere, right? But what you're getting is years of experience and a proven system to trade. So yeah,
Yeah, that's pretty much nails it. It is like you said, technical analysis can be learned anywhere. You can learn it for free online, you can learn it from courses, you can learn it from other people. But at the end of the day, it's who can teach you a better psychology, who can teach you to be better in your mindset because and trust yourself and have, those beliefs that you can be a better trader. And, while I do my best to do that, it really does come down to you. And it's being able
mm,
to separate that. It's to go, okay, so if trading is really only 20% of it, and once I understand that, then the rest of my days are focusing on the 80%. And how does that 80% help me? Well, it's having a plan, it's having structure, it's trusting your analysis, it's letting the trade go. It's many things that are going to help you grow as a trader. But then with life, with everything,
Yeah,
we talked about health, how you want to be, if you want to be fitter, cool. Teach yourself,
gotta
train yourself to work on your mindset to get up and just go, right? Just get
gotta
up and
think of
go.
it think about it as like an athlete. Yeah. Like you really do. Like every single there's a really good book called Atomic Habits, and at the start of the book they talk about the Tour de France and how the UK had lost something like for 10 years or something in a row, and then had this new coach come on board, and they were like, we just can't win. And this dude was like, all right, man, we're gonna check and we're gonna get like 1% like better time because we're going to change the tires, we're going to change the frame. The frame's going to be like 4 grams lighter. We're going to put this new hat. We're going to put this. You're going to lose a bit more weight. And so, in the same respect, right? If your eating's good, your gym's good, your personal relationship's good, your friends are good, and you get to the top of that, the Maslow's hierarchy, then you are going to perform much better. But don't forget, right? Like it just starts there. That is like it's that's not the tip of the iceberg, shall we say? Like you are just starting to scrape the surface, and you are going to be hit with loss. You're going to be hit with losses in your family. You're going to be hit with, one day you might just be so tired. You go, you know what? We're going to order in Domino's tonight, and you eat, 3 months worth of calories in one night or something like that. I've done that many times, let me tell you. The reality is that you just need to be stoic and you've got to keep going and you have to really apply yourself. And I hope this podcast really speaks to a lot of people like me and Jason. Jason, I already know I can say this. We really do care about people's success. We
Yeah.
really do want people to succeed because here's the thing, right? It doesn't cost me and it doesn't cost Jason for us to really help people have success in their own life. It actually, if anything, probably grows a friendship circle for us with people who are in the same position, like-minded, you know?
Yeah. And that's the biggest thing that helps your growth. And you'll find it pretty quickly. Like within a community of traders and people, everyone has a similar mindset in the sense that they want to do better, they want to grow together. Hanging around with those type of people in a community versus the guys that you hang out on a weekend, you'll be surprised that those guys are talking the same rubbish that they've been talking for the last how many years. And while it's good to have, those friends for certain times, the real growth comes from, doing the things that you love and the things that you want to do and finding people that have the same passion. Because the
Yeah,
growth system happens so much quicker when you're working with people that want what you want and, are there to support you and help you and lift you up. And, that's the thing that kind of brought me back to wanting to build a community again, was really having the people wanting to, work amongst each other and be a part of something that they can then grow and see successes and see opportunity and, in themselves. Because being around that kind of crowd, it encourages, it
yeah,
builds the psychology. You see people having wins, you're like, me too. Like I can do that. Like it changes that state of mind from, how often on your journey throughout being a trader, or you telling some odd friends about it here and there that, that thing will never work, or you're going to get scammed, or you're going to lose all your money, or, the amount of times that people that try to bring me down because I was in this space, it's just been crazy over the early years. It happened a lot earlier on when I first started because it was new to me, it was new to them. Now they're so accustomed to it and, used to seeing me do many different things and, travel and all the kind of stuff that we do now because of trading. But it's just kind of interesting to see, like you hang around people that have the same goals and same vision and you kind of strive for that and everyone does well together. And then you drop out of that circle, what happens? You go back to the people that are telling you, I told you it didn't work and I told you you're going to lose money and I told you this. And I was like, that's the one thing I hate about Australia, if I'm being completely honest. Like I love Australia as a country and, I'm happy I grew up here and, visited many places, but that tall poppy syndrome, man, it just doesn't do it for me. Like when I was living in the Philippines and me and Ali were over there, man, the encouragement that you get from other business owners, like people just want to see you do well, from your family, like, wow, that's amazing. Keep going, doing awesome. Open up more shops, do whatever it is. Keep going. You're awesome, right? Even your friends, like your friends were like, man, how do I do that? Let's do it together. Let's, it's really a different mindset. When we were over there to here, it's like, oh, you're starting a business, don't talk to me. Oh, you're trying to sell something, oh, don't talk to me. Oh, you have a new product, oh, don't talk to me. Like, I mean, like what kind of friends are those that would just totally abandon you once you've got something that you're excited that you're working on? And you kind of see it on social media. You kind of see posts about it all the time. It's like, you'll support a random person, but you won't support your best mate in their business venture and do that, right? You'd rather support, someone you totally don't even know, but the person that you're closest to is trying to scam you. Like it's
Yeah.
that, but that's a
Comes
thing,
back to what we
right?
were saying before about that if the so like it, people have got your back until the perception is that you're doing better. Because I like England is the same, mate. Like a lot of my old friends and I really don't have a lot of English friends anymore. I keep in touch with a few, right? And to be honest with you, like they're of the same sort of mentality. In fact, one of them is retired and he works. He doesn't work. Sorry, he lives overseas. I think he was in Thailand. Now he's in Brazil. He just that's what he does. Many trades. I won't drop his name. He's the opposite of what we are. He's one of the like, shh, keep it quiet. I don't want my name out there. I don't want anyone to know, kind of thing, right? So he like, but it's interesting. The don't be afraid to cut people out of your life who are not bringing, um, if they're bringing you down or they're not part of you growing as a person, don't be afraid to cut them because, like I said, there's going back a few years ago, I had a lot of people who would just want to go to the pub and like I know this is quite a hard thing to say, but when people are certain people, they just want to drink beer and they just want to do things that aren't necessarily growing yourself or helping you grow your family. Like, don't forget, right? Your responsibility is your health, right? Number one, it's yourself, right? Your health, right? Then it's your family, right? And then it's providing for your family. I mean, everyone's going to have this differently, but I've spent a bit of time thinking about this. You really, as a man, if we've got female followers, I apologize, but as a bloke, I can speak as a bloke. We really are like modern day providers for our family, right? They're relying on us. The kids, you got kids' mouths to feed. Like having kids changed me a lot. So don't be afraid to cut people out if they are having a negative effect on yourself, your family, your ambitions, your goals, right? Like seriously, don't be afraid to cut them off because at the end of the day, like they might want to change their self and you might rekindle your relationship further on. That's fine. But yeah, look, I remember there was many years where I got held back. And it was my fault because I stuck around and hung around with people who weren't on the same mission plan, right? We weren't on the same trajectory. So
Yeah,
my trajectory was almost held back, and I'm not blaming them, right? They've got their own things that
yeah,
they're interested in. They're not, it's no ill will. There was just a difference in the trajectory, and there was a different level, right? They're not below, they're not above you. Everyone's the same. We're all human, we're all mortal. But if you've got a specific goal, let's say you want to lose 50 kilos, you want to run a marathon, you ain't going to be hanging around bloody fat championship eaters, are you? You're going to be running around other people who want to run a marathon. That's just what you're going to do, right? It just makes sense in a world where you're trying to get ahead, you're trying to get financial independence, you're trying to create a mindset for trading, you're trying to learn trading technical analysis. Surround yourself in those people,
Mm,
you know?
yeah. Yeah, and just with what you said there about cutting people from your life, like man, I think I'm pretty sure I caused many separations with students over the years because I'm like the husband was like, I'm trying to tell my wife that I'm trying to learn how to
Oh,
trade
oh,
and she's not letting me. What should I do? Get rid of her.
bro. There's like charts
And
that have a
I'm
adjacent
just joking
effect.
about it, but I'm like, yeah, I
Yeah.
probably, some people are probably just taking that stand and be like, I'm doing this for us. Like, and if you don't, and this is communication as well, like in a
Hmm.
marriage, that like, of course, communication is key when it comes to anything. And me personally, it's still a struggle, still trying to be better as a husband to communicate to your wife. But Yeah, it's cutting those people that, the people that you don't want to cut, the people that are closest to you, if they are not in the right headspace to help you grow as a person, they don't have to help you per se, but they supportive of what you do. And hey, if that's what you want to do, I'm happy for you. Go and do that and, do great things. But if someone
Yeah,
tear you down, and even if they're your uncle, your auntie, your sister, your brother, whatever it is, for me, I'm like, man, if that is how you are, we're out. Like, we're done. Like, we don't need to have a conversation anymore,
yeah,
because I can't just talk to you about what I'm doing or what you're doing, because you're either going to bring me down, or you're going to disagree and just, throw it out the window. So it's okay. Like, people will be okay. Like, with or without you, they're going to be okay. So don't feel like you need to hold on to people just because they're your blood, and even more so if they're your friends or claim to be your friends. They're not bringing you down if they're your friends. Like, they're supportive of you. They want to see you do well.
yeah. Not envious, right? That
Yeah.
being said, though, there is one thing I am envious of you for, and my partner says, right, you choose your family, right? And so I've got family members who I've got people who aren't blood related, but we call them family, right? And I've got family members who we don't really talk to anymore, right? But Jason, just to add to what you're saying, right? Like I remember back when we first met and I met Ali, and I've always really respected your relationship, right? And have to be honest, I never understood what that was until I found it for myself,
Yeah.
like the power of and I have to like I'm just going to pay my partner some dues. Like my partner is insane. Like she's so supportive. I've been through some bad relationships, right? Relationships that haven't been good for me. I thought they were good for me at the time. That's the thing, right? You're always obscured like at the time. Like you might, as a guy, right? I'd say that I've been in a sort of a DV relationship where it's like nothing physical, but definitely to the point where it's like, well, why can they do that and I can't? If I did that, I'd get into trouble, kind of thing. I've never been that sort of dude, and I've been in relationships where it was just not healthy, right? But then I met this person who I've just been madly in love with, and she's been the biggest support. She's my uh, biggest critic from a warm feedback point of view, but also the driving force and just a homely woman, like an old fashioned like lady, and lady, make her sound old. But like,
I
I've just
need
got the best partner in the world now, and
That's
we're
so good.
talking about the 80/20, and the thing is, right, you really, like, we're talking about choosing your family and choosing your friends. You really need to make sure that you have these really good people in your life.
Mm.
Especially if you want to have that edge, that 80/20, you want to have that edge in trading, get a partner who's going to support you. Like Jason was saying there that, he holds the best metric for the highest divorce rate in Australia. I think that's what he said, wasn't it? So it's like one of those things where you really need to make sure you have a great partner. You ain't going to be an awesome trader if you've got this partner who's like, well, you're not spending time with me, you're not doing this, right? So I'm not going to say divorce or anything like that, right? Like, but it's so important to have a good partner, especially someone you're going to have kids with, right? You're going to be with them
Oh,
forever.
100%, bro. Like,
So
it's your partner is essentially your rock, and that's
yeah,
person's, again, that helps with your psychology, man. Like, if you're
yeah,
if you're in battle with your partner and you're trying to build a business or build a
yep,
trading, build as a trader or as create wealth or whatever it is that you're trying to do, if your partner is not your rock to go to, then you're gonna struggle. You're
yep,
not gonna have your head right where it needs to be. So
yep.
yeah, bro.
If you have
Um,
a good partner, go and tell them that you love them right now and thank you. But on that note, I think that's probably the end of today's session, eh, Jason? What do you think?
Yeah, that's it. But yeah, thanks so much, guys, for listening at the time that you do, and when we put this out there. But I'm really enjoying these chats, and just being real. Like, it's and that's something that's a lot of people don't like to talk about. Yes, in certain instances they do, but I think the reason for breaking the silence was, let's just be open, let's be transparent, let's have these
Yeah,
conversations that people don't like to talk about. And we'll get into some juicy stuff, and there'll be some real stuff, there'll be some raw stuff. It's just about mixing it up, and talking on topic to the things that you know I find will make an impact in your lives, our lives, and as we
that's
continue.
what it's about, isn't it? Yeah, yeah. I think we're both passionate about that, and Yeah, I think that's where the relationship was founded, mate. Is giving that value, right? And
Brilliant.
cool.
Cool. All right, guys. We will see you on the next episode.
Yeah, thank you. See you in the next episode.